Exactly. He's got 9 seconds.
I have 9 o'clock. We'll call this regular commission meeting to order Saturday, November the 11th at 9 o'clock. Can everybody join me in the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. All 4 board members are present and accounted for. Can I get a motion to discuss the agenda?
I'll move, please discuss the agenda.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any comments on the agenda? Any changes need to be made?
Mr. Chairman, 13B, approve, disapprove resolution 2003-12 should be 2023-12. And other than that, I'm good with it.
Anybody else? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to discuss the minutes of the August 26th regular commission meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any changes? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the August 26th regular commission meeting as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to discuss the minutes of the October 3rd, 2023 special commission meeting?
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any changes on that one? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the October 3rd, 2023 special commission meeting as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Stephen, General Manager's report.
Good morning. So at the end of October, we had a visit from the governor of New Mexico with her family. They rode the train from Chama to Osier. This is the first time a sitting governor of New Mexico has ridden our train. And at the same time, we also hosted the new editor from Trains Magazine that was riding the train on the same day, doing some locations for some future articles. Financial and accounting. Our audit was completed and turned in on time this year. The commission received general fund support from Colorado and New Mexico. Liability insurance was aligned with our other insurances. Capital billing is up to date, starting to spend ARPA funds right now on various projects. The CTO revenue was $3.589 million. As of October 31st, insurance and payroll were up over 2022. Marketing. Our ridership demographics from our customer surveys, most of our riders fall in the 65 to 74 age range, and that is 40%. The 55 to 64 is the next highest age bracket of our riders at 27%. 75 to 84 is up at 14%. And then 45 to 54, 35 to 44, 25 to 34 are all in single digits. Our ridership by state predominantly is from New Mexico at 22%, 18% from Colorado, 17% from Texas, and other states are down in single digits. We've had an increase in our media placements in 2023 over 2024. Reservations. Christmas trains have been loaded into our reservation system and are on sale. Our ridership for the 2023 season was at 13% above 2022. Our superintendent has that our tent building in Antonito has been taken down and has been saved for reuse. Ozier's been winterized for the winter, and generators have been returned to Antonito for servicing. Our cars, the inspections have started on them, and 5 cars are ready to bring over here to Chama for Christmas trains. The 2 new coach frames in Farmington will be brought to Antonito, and work will start on those this winter. Windows are getting priced out for those cars. For the historic shop, the main building is up. Insulation and electricity are to be installed soon. Our risk management. We had 2 fires in October, one at milepost 326.5 and one at 306.8. The one at 326.5 was put out by our fire patrol and train crews, along with some volunteer firefighters that had been riding the train. The fire we had at 306.8 was put out by the Antonito track crew, Antonito shop, as well as Antonito and Romeo fire departments, with some support from a Boise hotshot crew and Tres Piedras Forest Service crew. Both were fires were under a quarter acre. A&K Warehouse has cameras installed on it now, and water engineering for the Chama River water supply to the water tank is being worked on. From our DSLE, the balustrades are being run out of Chama dumping rock and will soon be starting out of Sublet. Chama Christmas trains will be running the first weekend of December. The second weekend of December, trains will be running for Christmas out of Antonito. Our government affairs, we have a $500,000 request in with the state of Colorado for wildfire mitigation. It has already been included in the first part of the governor's budget. We are based on a 3-year cycle in Colorado, and next year we'll be going back to the state for some adjustment to our funds to help cover insurance. In the state of New Mexico, our capital request was submitted and has 3 projects listed, one for adjustment for inflation, another for the Chama Roundhouse, as well as replacing the pavilion in Cumbres. Our ARPA funds, we currently have a project list that is acceptable projects, and we are starting to spend money towards that. We need to allocate all the funds by 2024 and spend it all by the end of June of 2025. Our retail and on board. Retail sales were at $290,000, which was $40,000 above projections. Our passengers spent approximately $9.50 each in our gift shop. Chama sales were up 10.45%, and Antonito sales were up 11.55%. Onboard sales were $146,000, which was also up 7% over last year. For our mechanical forces, Antonito, the 463 is stored serviceable for ballast trains and Christmas trains. 168 is winterized. 487 work is continuing with the boiler work as well as oil conversion. It should be finished by the beginning of the 2024 season. Here in Chama, the 484 is winterized and tender tank has been removed. The 48 is in service for ballast trains, will be used for the Christmas trains. The 489 work is continuing on the new ash or fire pan for oil burning, and work is underway. 315 is winterized and stored in the roundhouse. The 492 has had some work started on it. The super units have been removed so we can get cost estimates on new ones. For our track, we have 2,000 37 new ties have been installed so far. 4,272 tons of rock have been dumped. The annual bridge inspection is done, and there was a LiDAR survey done of the Cascade Trestle. We'll continue dumping rock as the weather permits. Our group sales were up 15% over 2022. Tuesday is the most popular day for our groups to ride, closely followed by Wednesday. We already have 42 groups pending for the 2024 season. That is all.
Any questions?
No, thank you for
Thanks, Steve.
that.
You're welcome.
How long have you been in your role now?
I think about 5.5 weeks.
Very good.
So far, so good.
What was that?
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Superintendent's report. Mr. Marty.
Well, we've been busy doing, trying to get things rolling now, try to get things going for the winter projects. And as we keep going, we've torn down the tent building, we're moving everything out of the way. So hopefully they can start adding on to that building and we can get that done. We're really hoping that it gets finished by January. The whole idea is we're sort of cluttered. It would help, and plus we'd like to use part of that building for some of the winter work that we want to do. We got Osher all boarded up. The water system's been drained out, so that should be okay till next spring. Generators have been pulled out and they're ready to head south. We're going to send them off so that they can go through them again. That way we have less problems with them in the summertime. And we'll get somebody that knows more about them to look them over. And as we go on, we spent some time doing some work with our bridge inspection. We got a chance to participate building a frame for their LiDAR cameras, and it was an experience because of what they wanted and how we had to do it. It's interesting how much area of difficulty they need to put up with and what they wanted us to do away with, but we got it accomplished. That worked out good. That's all done. And our testing went good. We got all the trains already. They're drained for the winter and all that. We've got the cars that are coming over for the Christmas train. We'll be bringing them over on Tuesday. And that way the girls can start decorating those cars and we'll have them ready for the Christmas trains. We're going to continue dumping as much ballast as we can, till the weather stops us. What we're looking at is we'll be moving the ballast cars back with us on Wednesday. We'll leave them at Sublette, and then from there on, we'll just use the diesel locomotive to dump rock. That way, at the end of the day, we just turn it off. We'll leave it there at Sublette for the meantime to get that stuff done. I'm gonna say I got a chance to go with Stephen and Scott to Skagway to look at the diesel locomotive. And I'm hoping that we get it, put it that way. I think we got, I think there's a lot of promise of things we can do with it. And I hope that becomes something that's successful over here for us. Other than that, I've been working I started getting quotes and everything, trying to get ready. We want to build 2 new passenger coaches this winter to satisfy my labor on that. I intend to keep as many of the track guys working as possible to help the labor force. Plus, that way, that would help me in the springtime that they won't go away to go work somewhere else. They'll stay with us. Helps build our workforce that way. And on pay-car F, Zal's been working on trimmings and stuff like that, but there's very little he can do. We moved the car into the new portion, and he still doesn't have power in there and all that. Hopefully that's going to come soon for us to get done. I'm hoping that some of this works, gets started sometime this week. And the last thing is, I think all our departments, all of our employees, they really put out the summer. And when it got really rough, everybody was jumping from one department to the other to help the other departments get the work done in order to keep trains running. And I think everybody pretty much went beyond what we expected them to do, and I think they all deserve a great big thanks. And that's about it.
Well, they certainly do deserve a great deal of our thanks, so from the commission, thank them very much, because it was another challenging season, but they really threw their hearts into it, as they always do, and we ended up with a very successful season because of their great efforts, so thank you.
Anytime you get people crossing departments and all that, you always expect things to happen. But things worked out very smoothly because, we didn't have anybody get seriously hurt. So they're all starting to learn that they can cross departments and help each other, within limits, and everything's okay. And I think that's making us grow together, not apart from each other.
Absolutely, and that's one of the stories that I always hear down here, is how much the folks from different departments cross over whenever they're needed, whether it's to clean or run food or assist with a fire, whatever the case may be. People just volunteer to step in when they're needed. So, incredibly commendable. Says a lot about their character.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
Thank you, Marvin.
Financial report, my favorite CFO. No pressure. No
Getting
pressure.
serious.
Getting serious. Button up her sleeves.
Rolling up your sleeves.
Good morning. So as Stephen pretty much said, we did submit the audit on time this year, so that was a big accomplishment for my department. It's a very busy time of the season for us, and our fiscal year end is right smack in the middle of it. So we look forward to Josh, the auditor, to present the audit, hopefully at our February meeting. It is still being approved by the state auditor. It takes about, we're looking about 2 months or so. So we did, and he will talk about the findings that we had when he presents it, once it's been approved by the state auditor. Right now, we're just working on accounts payable, trying to get into a good flow of things. I'll just go over a little bit going on in each of the funds right now. So I'll start with capital, our capital billing. So we are up to date with Colorado and New Mexico as of September 30th. We are working on submitting another reimbursement to both the states. Right now, we have received both general fund support, as Stephen said, from Colorado and New Mexico. So we did use some of that money to cover our insurance cost, and that's basically what the general fund support is for. We have our ARPA spending going on right now. So we have a few projects. As Stephen said, we do have to have everything spent by June 30th of 2025. So it's a small time frame, but we have lots of projects that need to be completed by then. Our CTO revenue, and just to clarify, I did reflect my report based off of our fiscal year. So I did the first couple months of our fiscal year, and we were in a higher position in comparison to prior year. We did have, I will say that our payroll expenses did increase from prior year. I think a lot of places are going through this of having staffing issues, so we did see that increase in payroll expenses. HPA, little activity in there. We do have our operating income for the historic preservation fee. We don't see too much expenses coming out of there other than the Cleary building. That was the support for the new building for the historic car set. We're hoping that to cover additional labor costs that it's taken us to move from the tent into the building. But I think that's pretty much it for me this morning.
Congratulations on the audit.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Thanks, guys.
That's a significant accomplishment.
Yes. Okay. That it?
I'm very happy not to have to answer to the state auditor, because that was
Yes.
the last thing he said when he left here. Make sure your audit's on time. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you all.
That's tough when you know him personally.
Right? I know.
They expect more.
Yes,
Yes.
they do. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And now my favorite marketing manager.
All right. Good morning, everybody. As Stephen did mention, he did explain our demographic for our ridership and also the top 3 states for our ridership. Generally, what we saw on the marketing side this year was, overall impressions in certain areas were down just a little bit, but the click-through was a lot higher. So that basically told us the people who were interested in traveling, they were, that's what they wanted to do. We just didn't have the people who were just looking generally for something to do. So they're very, our click-through rates were very, very high. One of the highest click-through rates that we did see came from New Mexico tourism website and also Visit Albuquerque. So we saw a click-through rate of over 3%. So that is incredible in comparison to what the industry is. Typically, industry average is 0.3%. So we saw over 300% on our New Mexico side. Colorado, we did see over industry average as well with about a 1%. So that was good. Overall, as I've been saying time after time, our marketing, I'm kind of putting more effort into the digital aspect of things. This year we did start a lot earlier. I started that in April. So a lot of advanced bookings we saw were pacing well with pre-pandemic numbers. We kind of met, flatlined in July and August this year. Was that due to gas prices? Was it due to schools just running later, so families are taking vacations later? That is something I will dive into a little bit more this winter to use to project how we go about our marketing for 2024. As Stephen did mention as well, we did see a lot of media placements and mentions for Cumbres and Toltec. So this year we did have 552 known placements. Last year we did see 213 known placements. So we did see a huge increase on a lot of media. Seemed like, every week I was getting a call. Can you comment on this? Can I get somebody to do an interview for this? And every little while I was like, Scott, he's like, another one? I'm like, he's all, didn't I just do this 2 days ago? I'm like, yeah, this one's different. Same thing. So, Stephen, you saw your first one this week,
Yep.
even in our off season. So they still continue to come in, which is great. So that our total number, if you put a dollar figure behind our media placements, it was worth about 5.5 million in online and print news, and valued at 66.2 thousand in television value. That's what we saw in relation to that sort of thing. Going into our off season, just like we did last year, we did a railfan photography takeover for a weekend or so. We will probably start that up again in the new year. Just kind of keeps all of our followers engaged in what we are doing. A lot of my time right now is going towards our Christmas holiday trains. So that is what we are working on. I think the community is excited again that we have brought these back for, we hadn't done them in 3 years, so we're starting that back up again. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on a lot. I think that is it, unless anybody has any questions. Mark wants to add something. Beat him to it.
Just noting that the age demographics were self-reported demographics.
Correct.
So that may skew the figures a little bit, but it shows that we've got a lot of growth opportunity in the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, the 40-year-olds.
Yeah, so just to kind of comment on what he means by self-reporting, we do an end-of-season Troy Research survey. So we get those demographics from that survey. There's a question in there, what is your age, so they answer. So that's kind of the only metric that we have right now that we can use for demographics. As the years progress, age is going to become something that is going to be very, very private, and we're just not going to be able to know anymore. For example, on Facebook, you used to be able to tell everybody's age. Now you cannot. It's a hidden thing, especially when you're doing advertisements on social media. So it's just something we'll kind of have to work through. It's going to become, we're just going to have to get up out of our offices and go and look at, all of our guest writing and see what demographic is writing. And you can see a little bit of a change if you go out there, especially with those short Friday trips that we did. It was a lot of little kids, which is great to see, from my perspective, kind of reaching that next generation and introducing them to trains. All right.
Thank you. Local affairs, Kim?
Well, as Stephen stated, the governor of New Mexico rode with us. Billy and I were invited to ride along with her. This was actually a birthday present for her 5-year-old grandson, so we had 4 hours with her, and we tried not to get too into the weeds with her with political discussions, but I think the one thing that I came away with from the ride with her is that she was very impressed with our operation, but more so our hospitality. So I want to thank the staff and the crew for accommodating that. It was kind of last minute, and it's a very complicated process with her detail. We had, she had advanced men. We had to get them driven into Osier. It was interesting to watch, but she was so impressed with our operation as a whole, and then the hospitality of our staff. And she was kind of isolated in a rider gone in the third parlor car, and people were it was really funny because we stopped at Coombers for water. She kind of had this audience on the back part of the car, and she, because she's the politician that she is, was happy that she stood there and talked to people for a long time, and talked to people at lunch at Osier too. So she, like I said, her grandson had a blast, and that was the goal of the trip, is for her grandson to enjoy the train. I think that the one thing that I want to reiterate is that we as a commission are very focused on the economic impact that this entity has on both communities. We are, like everybody else, climbing out of COVID. We're short-staffed. We're experiencing huge inflationary issues. and supply chain issues. But every decision that we make, and especially the big policy decisions, we always consider how it's going to affect the community. Now, the communities may not always like the decisions that we make, but I just want to reiterate that these decisions are made very carefully and very cognitive of the ancillary effects of what's going to happen if we do this or what's going to happen if we do that. Our first responsibility is to the financial health of the railroad. Our second is to the preserving the historic assets and viewscape, history, everything of the railroad. And then thirdly, our contribution to the economic success of the communities. So please know that as a commission, we don't take this lightly. It's something that we're very serious about. And as we are all climbing out of COVID, we're all doing the very best we can. I mean, clearly, if ridership is up, revenue is up, gift shop sales are up, group sales are up, I think we're on the right track. So if the healthier we are, the healthier the communities are going to be, and that's our goal.
And all three of those go hand in hand.
Yes.
The communities grow with the railroad, and the railroad grows with the communities.
And Kim, you mentioned the grandson's birthday. It was amazing to watch the guests we had at Osier sing happy birthday to the 5-year-old, and the fact that he got a birthday cake from Victoria specifically for him. And then he and his sister got a cab tour by Harry, and when she was watching the kids up in the cab, she wanted to go. And so she got a cab tour as well. So she had a good time.
She did, and I actually received a handwritten thank you note from her, thanking us for her ride. But she did mention that the birthday cake at Osier for her grandson was probably the icing on the cake. So it was a good day. It was a good experience.
The only bad thing about it was she's trying to recruit our marketing manager.
Yes. Actually, she got a hold of Alicia too. You weren't there,
Yeah.
but she got a hold of her when I was able to introduce her. So very supportive of up and coming women. So good job, ladies.
Any other comments, questions for Kim? Capital projects?
I think Steven said most of things in his report. It's nice to see the ARPA work moving forward on the lava tank. And hopefully that water tank will be back in service next year, which should help with some of the water situations we've struggled with this summer. And the fact that 492 got moved this summer off of its track it had been sitting on for a number of years, got over to the shop, the cab is off of it. As Steven said, the superheaters are out, the smoke box front has been removed. It's moving through the various inspections, and the appliances are going out for rebuild. Hopefully we'll have a fifth big engine within a couple of years to help with some of the motive power issues. So, thank you, Stephen. Things are moving.
We'll keep going forward.
Questions?
Just a brief comment, and Marvin yesterday told us that they made 29 trips to carry water in. So that having another tank up will be important. It also tells us how dry it was at the end of the season, or maybe even starting in the middle of the season. So that's something that as a commission is always in the back of our minds, is we're dealing with drought here and the effects of drought.
And Stephen, thank you for the update on 87 and 89. Having the flexibility to have the 2 oil burners next year, I think will be important given the coal shortage situation we suffered through all summer this year. Having some flexibility on fuel I think is gonna be important as the railroad moves forward.
I believe you are correct.
And I think we would all like to see us run with coal burning locomotives for the historic perspective. And I think almost all of us enjoy the smell of those locomotives, but we have to be pragmatic because, as I understand, we were down to just a few chunks of coal towards the end of the season.
There was one morning where we had less than a tender load of coal left on the entire railroad when the locomotives departed from Antonito and to Chama. And our plan was to take the little bit we had left in Chama, split it in two, and haul some to Antonito in a truck to keep the engines hot overnight while we were waiting for a load. Fortunately, coal got delivered that day to both ends. But coal shortage was a problem all summer long.
Yeah. And these are circumstances beyond our control. It's what we're dealing with in the industry.
Tim?
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
I know you'd be disappointed if I didn't give you a report all
Color.
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 Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Someone told me, I don't know, do men like doing reports in color more than women or not? I don't know. Someone mentioned that to me. Anyway,
You don't like color.
I love color.
I don't know. I will make a correction. It was great that Governor Grisham was up riding, but I will remind everybody that we did, in 2011, New Mexico Governor Martinez rode the railroad, and then the following year, in 12, Colorado Governor Hickenlooper and his son rode the railroad. So I have pictures with both of them, and I have to get them framed. But I will remind everybody.
Susanna Road?
Yeah, I spent a whole day with her in a caboose. Yeah.
I stand corrected.
I stand corrected, because I
And-
knew
and
that
then-
Governor Cargo had ridden, and I knew. he
Well,
had-
I'm gonna say in my tenure, in my 19 years I've been here, so I can only reflect on that, so.
and knew
I don't know what
Hickenlooper
happened before
rode,
that.
But I didn't, I guess I just blocked out
The-
Governor Martinez.
The Hickoria did a dance, and she got out there and danced with them. And
Well, I knew she was here, but I didn't,
Yeah.
I thought she didn't ride the train because I know she got waylaid by some of the local businesses.
Yeah, no, she rode, and then, in 12, Hickenlooper and his son rode. So it was nice, back to back, we had both governors from both states, so. Anyway,
Freudian slip, I apologize.
no, but it was nice that, we get that attention, so it was great the governor was up. Anyway, we concluded, our fall board meeting here a few weeks ago up in Golden. Elected a new, director, Steve Jurgensen from Dallas. So he joins the board. Coming up January 1, we're gonna increase our dues by a whole $5, from $35 to $40. And that's only the second time we've increased our dues in the 19 years I've been here. And part of that is because what we're going to do to try and spur more work session attendees is we're gonna get rid of all the work session fees and the lunch fees, and we covered some of this yesterday in the HPCC meeting, but what's happened, obviously, is over time, we've, through sickness or death, or people just have other things to do, our attendance has gone down. So there's still a lot of stuff to do. I mean, we never run out of projects, and we'll never run out of projects, but the number of volunteers continues to drop. So we're gonna try and help from an economic standpoint, lessening the fees. We're gonna look at trying to help people. We did a couple years ago with gas. If they're driving from a long distance, we'll try and give them a stipend for that. And so we're gonna try and creatively work on trying to bring more volunteers in so we can keep repairing historic equipment and structures and helping right away and mileposts and that sort of thing. So anyway, that's something we're trying to do to turn that tide. You'll see the work session dates for 2024 there, and again, we hope we can continue to add more sessions back in Chama. Tentatively, we'll do our member meeting in Chama, and hopefully Steve will work with us on maybe doing a train up to Cumbres and back, and those go over real well. People like those, so we appreciate that. Our membership, we try and get out, do train shows as much as possible. Of course, we were at the Narrow Gauge Convention. We had a couple shows here in the past week in Ohio and Syracuse, and then we got a show coming up in Loveland that we'll have presence at, and I think next year we'll buy more brochures. Those go good. We send them out to our members, but we arm our members when they go to train shows, so it helps. We're trying to do everything we can to promote the railroad and the Friends. Our membership stands at about 2,200 members, which is pretty static. I mean, although we've continued to add some through classic train solicitations, which helps. It's kind of an old-fashioned method of marketing, but it seems to work. Like our members, when we send them something in the mail, they usually send us checks back, which is always nice. So that's just our demographics. Let's see. Thanks to Rich and the docents, we had 33 docents that staffed 285 rides during the course of the year. So, Rich, thank you, and the guys and gals who helped make our experience a little maybe more than other railroads. So, appreciate that. You'll see there some of the projects we completed in 2023, and we talked about it yesterday. The tourist sleeper with the lights installed now is 100% complete. A couple of UTLX tank cars, the concession / toilet car had a lot of stuff redone to it. LED lights. There was a freezing, and then there was a fire from the Rattler last year. So it's back. And I can attest to it because I rode it on one of our August trains. So it's up and running. Rider box, some drop bottom gone 731, and worked on the office car. And then Don Stewart and his crews painted a few cars, reefer 163, 55, and then the high side rider gone 1357, rider box 3414, and then idler flat 9569. So some of the things that were done through the course of this last year. And then the last item there, you see some pictures as we are working on 163. Working on Express Bag 163 up in Colorado Springs. So that's kind of like the pile driver. It's a very multi-year project, but kind of every other Saturday the guys work on it up there at the Trolley Museum. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it. As always, thank you for all the support and letting us do what we do, and all that. So,
Well, thank you and the Friends. It's just the amount of work that is volunteered is really incredible, and you see the list that Tim just went through here. When you look at the details, it seems like 20 times that much that gets done. And you see the amount of volunteer efforts that go into it, and they're thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. Thank you, and thanks to the docents. That really does make a big difference for our guests riding the train. And it's impressive to have 285 rides. That's a lot of departures. It says a lot about our crews too, to be able to send the train out that often.
There were 121 train days, so those 285 rides cover X number per day, at least one in each direction until the last week.
Yeah.
Rich, you know the percentage of how many trains we had, like 2 docents or?
I don't know what the
Yeah.
percentage is, Tim, no, but we changed the long-term policy where initially we would only have 2 docents on if there was a double header.
Okay,
We decided these folks come from a long way away, short period of time. Let's put as many of them on the train as we can, regardless of how many folks are there.
yeah.
And that's been our new philosophy. And we now have 3 female docents as part of our crew, which is a really pleasant change to some of our demographic.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Tim, one of the things that we heard comments from all summer long were the junior engineer program.
Oh, yes,
And
yes.
how wonderfully successful that was. And it was a great addition for the younger riders. And that went over very, very well. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we've heard a lot of good comments, and of course, as we talked yesterday, the adults who like a senior, engineer program. So, we'll have to get the right people working on that. I'm not gonna volunteer Melissa Summers quite yet, because they're the ones who wrap their arms around this. But anyway, we're so glad to hear that, because that hones in on the demographics we're trying to reach out to, because, most of the demographics is pretty representative of people in this room, and we got to get a lot younger folks riding the train. So anyway, so
Are there plans for the stock car?
stock car.
That's sitting in the yard?
Oh, the one down below.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Bill Lock project. So
They got the coupler on it the other day, so it can be moved now.
yeah, so I think the intent is trying to get it up. So oh yeah, no, that's Bill's project. He kind of works on it when everybody else isn't working on stuff. So, but yeah, no, it's active project. So anyway,
Tim, I just have a quick question. At the previous commission meeting, you had a couple of gentlemen that were not happy with the work sessions. Were you able to address their concerns?
oh, Bob Ribb, yeah. No, we talked to Bob a little
Okay.
bit and told him that the proper venue is coming to us. And I wrote a column about it. We talked about it at the board level. And yeah, I mean, we want to, Bob seemed to take the approach that we were trying to push people to Antonito, and we are not, We'd like to have as many sessions in both locations. The problem in Chama is we're spread out, okay? We need a lot of support people, as opposed to Antonito with our CRF over there, it's very compact. So we tried to explain to him that, Bob, help us find more support people, or, come and chat with us about how we could potentially make more weeks happen. It's not that we're trying to drive people one direction or the other. It's just, as I talked about at the onset, it's running out of volunteers. That's the issue. When I got here, we'd have 150 people here for C, and we were at a point where, boy, oh boy, time out. We maybe got to restrict this because we don't have enough projects to do. And but now it's just the opposite. So anyway, we've talked to him and Bob, and so we're trying to correct it by the more bodies we can bring into work, then we can expand. But that's what it is, Kim. It's just the nature of the beast with the volunteers and numbers. So
Good.
sorry, and I'm sorry that came up, and I Scott, you did a great job, punt it over to me and like Tim, help out here. And so we weren't happy with Bob, but we had a chat with him. So
And I have just one more comment at the legislative hearing at the, recently, and it appears to happen every time that we testify. The Friends are always brought up as the volunteer organization, and the legislature as a whole is always very impressed with the amount of hours and people and the work that you all do, so.
Oh, well,
it's-
thank you. Yeah,
it's
no, hopefully it's,
Noticed at all levels.
like I say, we add what we can, and it's of value, and so it's a lot of passion by our members, so. We appreciate letting, you guys letting us, and gals letting us do what we do, so.
Thank you.
Anything else there, Chairman Billy?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And to you and your friends.
Okay.
We really appreciate it. New business. Can I get a motion to approve or disapprove Resolution 2023-011, a resolution to adopt an open meeting policy? This policy is on our website that anybody can go to and read, because I'm not gonna sit here and read 3 pages of this resolution.
I will move to approve it.
Second?
Can I get a roll call, please?
I'll show you. Commissioner Graybill,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith-Castleberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbs,
Yes.
Commissioner Elbrock.
Yes. Motion passes. Can I get a motion to approve or disapprove Resolution 2023-012, a resolution to approve the purchase of diesel locomotive 114 from the White Pass and Yukon Railway for $120,000?
So moved.
Second?
To approve.
So moved to approve.
I'll second that.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Graybill,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith-Castleberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbs,
Yes.
Chairman Elbrock.
Yes,
Can I comment?
please.
I want to thank Brad Wujek from American Heritage Railways for going with us during an inspection tour we did earlier this month with Marvin, Stephen, and myself to Skagway, and looking at that locomotive, evaluating it, and helping us make a decision on, was this right for us? For those that are not familiar with it, it's a locomotive very similar to the 4 that the DNS purchased a couple of years ago. Mechanically, it's very, very similar. Shares a lot of parts with the ones in Durango. So I think this will be a good addition for the railroad.
And so my comments on the locomotive, I'm sure that there are some people concerned that we are looking at transforming into a diesel operation. All I can say is that's certainly not the case. I think we're looking at this locomotive as the opportunity to make sure that we can stay operating steam, because if we look at the potential role of a diesel locomotive, that's our backup, our rescue locomotive. We don't have to keep a locomotive hot at one of the terminals. Each day that we're keeping a locomotive hot for a rescue is using a day of service. It also is labor that is necessary to keep that locomotive hot. Being able to send a locomotive up quickly for a rescue is huge. And also, when we use this locomotive in maintenance away service, it's going to make that service much more efficient as well, because it's a bigger locomotive. Just a couple comments, and others know a lot more than I do about our current diesel fleet, but I do know that one of the engines is operable. It's not, neither of those engines are young. They're not built as road locomotives where the White Pass and Yukon locomotive that we're looking at is a road locomotive. And anyone who's run a switching locomotive on a main line knows that they're not ideal for use on a main line, but we still do it. So I think that this is going to save us a significant amount of money in the long term and lengthen out the time between necessary maintenance on our steam locomotives. So it's a benefit for our railroad being a steam locomotive railroad. Am I right on all of those?
Yes, you are.
Anything?
While we were up there, Marvin and I took measurements over the entire locomotive. We were on the phone with Mr. Matthews, making sure that it fit within our clearances, as well as the curvature of the railroad. And so Marvin and I spent a lot of time crawling all over it with the tape measure, making sure it's going to fit before we agreed on proceeding with purchasing it.
Did you want to go over some of the costs of
I think
the
we've got,
cost benefit?
well, just a couple of comments that, Mark mentioned keeping a steam engine hot as a rescue locomotive. Depending on the locomotive, and what class it is, the cost analysis we did over this last year, somewhere between $1,000 a day and $1,200 a day accumulates against our total accounts, just keeping the locomotive hot, without crew costs, without fuel, without lubricants. That's just the 1472 amortized cost. So having something that we can start and stop as a rescue, rather than keeping a spare steam engine sitting there and burning through money, gives us some options that we don't have today. Because the little diesels have done a great job, and on the east side of the railroad probably can use one of them to rescue a train and take it downhill. You can't move it uphill. Ballast trains on this side of the railroad are pretty much limited to 1 or 2 ballast cars with one of the current diesels. That's why we've been using steam engines on this side for the last several weeks. And while it's really neat to have steam engines doing that maintenance away work from a rail fan's perspective, it's an expensive way to move rock. And having the diesel available that can move 4 cars up this hill will be a tremendous cost savings out of our capital accounts that the 2 states are currently funding. That as we try to move towards a self-sustaining approach for the railroad, we need to figure out ways to do that more economically.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 2 questions. First of all, I think it's a great idea. When would you expect it to arrive at the C&T?
Been talking with the barge company and the crane company that will help get it out of Alaska. It'll come down by barge to Washington State, get loaded on a flat car. So sometime this spring, when the White Pass crews come back to work, we'll go up there and help get it loaded. We don't have an exact date yet, but it should be here sometime late spring or early summer at the latest.
Okay, so next summer.
Yes.
Once it's here, how many years to get it where we can use it?
The gentleman that went with us to Skagway, Mr. Wojak, will help us get it into service. So it'll probably, through the summer, we'll be working on it, getting it ready to go, getting everything up to speed, because it hasn't been in service since 2019.
Thank
But
you.
they did start it up, and we were able to move it back and forth in the yard. And the engine is really strong on it. It's got low hours on the motor. The running gear on the locomotive is in very good condition, and we're negotiating what spare parts we can get with it as well.
Fantastic, thank you.
You're welcome.
There, There's some comments about the electrical on that locomotive. Are there any concerns that we have with?
In talk with Brad, everything that is known about the locomotive is easy for him to address. And that was also another reason why we were proceeding with the purchase of it.
And in our discussions with the DNS about acquisition of one of the Alcos like theirs, or purchase one of theirs, they actually recommended that this would be almost ideal for us. The few differences between 114 and the series that they have, they didn't see that if they help us with maintenance, if they help us with servicing, that it would be any problem. There's so many common parts between the locomotives that what we've been doing for years with K36s, we can continue to do with this one.
Very good. Well, as someone who's been involved in a number of diesel locomotive purchases, the price is very good. And there are very few options out there for a narrow gauge locomotive, especially one that's got this kind of tractive effort and will still fit.
I think Mark was talking about on a couple of the boards, everybody, or not everybody, numerous people were expressing a concern about the brakes. There's been a problem since it came from the factory. And I'm assuming most of that's BS anyway, but I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, if you read the internet boards, the locomotive is reputed to have a problem with the dynamic brakes. And I think that's going to be one of the things we look at once we have it here on this hill. Brad felt that there was not an issue that couldn't be resolved pretty straightforwardly.
And we have money budgeted for
Yeah.
making sure that when it goes out the door, everything will be working.
We stop the negative discussion if that's what you want. Just tell me.
Do it, Roger.
I appreciate everyone's opinion. I very much do. And I definitely listen to what folks have to say because it's important. They're great supportive of ours, and they're there for us in difficult times. I know as an operator how much money a diesel locomotive saves us by not having to have a steam engine hot. I know how much better the guest service is when you can fire up your locomotive 15 minutes later, you're heading down the track and you can get the trains back in operation. You can get the guests back to the terminal. I know how much a diesel locomotive saves us when we're sending out a maintenance of way train. And it's very significant. And I think the thing that I would want all of those folks who are not happy about seeing a diesel come here, our motivation is to make sure that we can have steam locomotives long into the future, and a diesel doing these mundane, routine activities, not pulling the tourist trains, but these other activities is the way that we lengthen the number of years that we can be running these locomotives. And as Scott wisely pointed out, we're not self-sustaining yet. And the way we become self-sustaining is to grow ridership and to make sure that we're minimizing our expenses. So it's getting a diesel like this is a big win.
Anything else? Thanks for everybody's comments on that and support. Item C, under new business, Kim, could you give us a little background on this before I call for a vote on it, and we'll have some discussion?
Elena Ilariana, proprietor of the Rio Chama Espresso, is requesting to lease a small section of land located adjacent to her business. She's presented as a lease agreement, as well as already naming the commission as additional insured, which is always one of our requirements when requesting permission to use railroad property. The lease is for 5 years, and I think the monetary remuneration was $1, which is standard. The commission's not necessarily interested in making money on the transaction, but more interested in being a good neighbor. And I know that Elena's tried several times to kind of get this worked out, and she's established a very, very nice addition to Chama. She's added the outdoor tents and for her summer use, but we kind of have her cut off right now with her ingress and egress. There's a strip of property about 30 feet from the highway east, and so that is the piece of property that she's asking to lease from the railroad. I think that an easement is going to better serve her needs, simply so that it's not necessarily a business transaction between us and the commission, and gives her a little more protection as well as us. So my recommendation is that we disapprove the lease, but give her a no-cost easement. But you can call for a vote, or if anybody has any other comments. Elena, do you have anything you want to say?
Primarily, as you know, where I put the tents, I was putting that off for several years because that's my backup parking. But really, I could only fit 6 cars in there, so it really wasn't feasible. So I went ahead and moved forward with that in the tents and expanded. I'm now leasing one of the tracks from the DAPs, and I plan to continue doing that lease. But I'd like to be able to secure parking if the DS do sell that property. I lose my only parking to keep my business open. So by getting this either a right of use or an easement, something I can use for parking to keep my business operational, is very paramount to me.
So right now you are okay, but this is for the near future in case you would lose your...
Yes and no. So right now people do cross over on part of that property to get to that area that I leased from the DAPs. I was unaware that he didn't own all of that when I went into that agreement with him. That came into light last year. So it would be immediate because I am utilizing it now. But I would be asking for a little bit more of an extension, because if he did sell, I would want to put like an enter closer to the far end or the south end, and put diagonal parking all along the side with the exit towards my building. So I'd still be able to get in that 15 or 20 cars I need to keep operational. Does that make sense?
I guess I'm concerned about the time that it would take for getting an easement in place should we decide to do that. So do we think that that's something that we could do relatively
Quickly?
quickly?
Yes. And we are going to have to call a special meeting to accept the audit. So I think that if we can get, for one thing, we need a legal description of it, and I'm not, this is when we missed Bill Locke. But I think that we can get it written and then get it executed at a special meeting. My personal opinion, Elena, is that an easement is going to serve your needs better than a lease agreement.
I agree. This was presented to me as an option, so because the easement didn't go so smoothly last time, I thought that this might be something we could really quickly.
So are you okay with an easement at at a special meeting within the next 6 to 8 weeks? I mean, clearly that it's already being
I'm already
utilized as,
maintaining it and.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Well, we appreciate good neighbors, and we strive to be a good neighbor. So it's best if we do it in the right way.
Can I get a motion to approve or disapprove request for use of real property?
I make a motion to disapprove the request for use of real property based on us getting an easement in place for you as soon as possible.
Second?
I'll second that.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Who seconded? Scott. Commissioner Graybill,
Disapprove.
Commissioner Smith Castleton,
Disapprove.
Commissioner Gibbs,
Disapprove.
Chairman Elbrock.
Disapprove.
And I'll get with you, Elena, and we'll get this squared away for you. Thank you.
And the survey should be about done of the whole property down there.
Okay, good. We had to have it resurveyed, so we can work off that survey as soon as we get it. Okay? Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing the guests.
Yeah. Both of them, Max.
Max really behaved himself.
You did? I'm impressed.
I did it without a binky. I want you to know.
I'm impressed. You did good.
Thank you.
Item E, approve or disapprove 2024 assignment of officers. Oh, D, sorry. I marked the wrong one, disapprove. I just disapproved Stephen's statement. Sorry. Start over. Item D.
I want the right money, shut up.
This is a motion to acknowledge a potential conflict of interest. The commission desires to comply with the ethical standards section of the CTSRR Commissions and Practices Manual version 8.0 regarding the general manager of Cumbres Toltec Operating LLC and Stephen Butler and his intention to rent a home in Chama at the reasonable and fair price from Colorado Commissioner Gibbs. The lack of housing in Chama is problematic with limited choices as stated in the Policies and Practices Manual. The commission is aware of and extends an exception to the conflict of interest, whether real or perceived, to Commissioner Gibbs and Stephen Butler as a temporary resolution until such time Mr. Butler can secure permanent housing conducive to his needs. Can I get a motion to approve or disapprove?
Motion to approve.
Second. I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Graybill,
Approve.
Commissioner Smith Castleton,
Approve.
Commissioner Gibbs,
Abstain?
Chairman Elbrock.
Approve.
Congratulations, you have a home.
Thank you.
Three approvals, one abstention.
He's no longer homeless.
He's no longer homeless.
All right.
Or have to commute from Alamosa every day.
Yeah.
There's sheets in the. Bring your own pillows.
Now can I go to item E?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I thought you were on F.
I thought I was too. I was looking at the clock, I'm thinking, oh, this is taking way too long. Can I get a motion to approve or disapprove the 2024 assignment of officers?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Graybill,
Approve.
Commissioner Smith Castleton,
Approve.
Commissioner Gibbs,
Approve.
Chairman Elbrock.
Approve.
Do you want
Don't
me to-
ever miss a meeting. You get 2 years in a row as chairperson.
Actually, I think we're all staying in our current positions.
Yep.
Yes.
are staying in your current position?
Yes.
Yep.
Everybody's staying in their
Everybody's
current
staying
position.
in
Billy
place.
missed the meeting, so he lost.
I missed the meeting, I lost.
And it was for the next 10 years. Or until the governors get tired of it.
Yes.
So Billy's chair, Scott is vice chair, Mark is treasurer, and I'm secretary.
Glad you got the name.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot those were up there. Those will stay the same.
Item F, new business. Can I get a motion to approve or disapprove 2024 regular meeting dates?
Motion to approve since we made a critical change.
I think we made two, but
To accommodate two of you.
I'll second.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Graybill,
Approve.
Commissioner Smith Castleberg,
Approve.
Commissioner Gibbs,
Approve.
Chairman Elbrock,
Approve. Those dates are Saturday, February 17, 2024 in Antonito. May 11th, 2024, Chama. August 10th, 2024, Antonito. November 2nd, 2024, Chama. Any old business? Do we need an executive session?
No.
Who's gonna say it?
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're out of here at 10:16.